Got this email, rad@radradio.com. It's from Amber.
Hi, Amber.
She says, I want to thank you for recommending Dr. Patel from Granite Bay Allergy. I got the chance to meet him last month for allergy testing. Dr. Patel was very nice and patient with my questions and concerns. Please tell Dr. Patel thank you very much for helping me get started on this journey to find out more about the allergies that I may have and still have. We can do that in person because Dr. Patel joins us in studio. Hello, Dr. Patel.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
She signed this Amber, the girl in the very bright pink sneakers. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
You remember her?
Yep.
All right. We also got this note from Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Says, for the past few years, I've had trouble smelling, breathing, and sleeping because of my allergies. Granite Bay Allergy found out that when it comes to ecological, trees, dust, molds, and pollens, allergens, I am reactive to 44 out of the 65.
Damn.
Today, he wrote this morning, today is my last appointment of Rush Immunotherapy.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Patel and his amazing staff have improved my quality of life.
Love the
Already?
Rush.
Already? Is that normal?
Well, it's the pre-medication. Prednisone usually helps.
Yeah, it does.
Once that wears off, though.
So you immediately give him something to make him feel better.
Well, yeah, it's part of the Rush cluster immunotherapy. It's pre-medications, prednisone. You know, we're giving you basically like 8 months of shots in like a day, right? So we don't want any reactions.
But even just that, he says you're already improving his quality of life. That's pretty cool.
That's good, yeah.
But the idea is this over the course of how long until he really feels better being outside amongst these 45 allergens.
Yeah, usually it's about 6 to 12 months. You get a 50% improvement overall.
So one of the things that we love about the guests that we do have on, because you all have a similar strain in that obviously you're here to educate, inform. You're also running a business. You want to get patients, but you're also willing to share things that will do absolutely nothing maybe to ever improve your business, but helps people quality of life. And we got this email from Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Says, last time Dr. Patel was on, he mentioned that it's not that common for adults to develop food allergies late in life, and it's more likely something else. For the last 2 years, I had been convinced that I was allergic to gluten. I was getting super itchy hives that just wouldn't go away all over my body. I paid for a mail-in blood test to tell me what I was allergic to, and gluten showed a reaction for me. After hearing Dr. Patel on the last show mention that those tests are garbage, it made me reevaluate everything and reintroduce gluten into my diet, and I didn't get hives until I would wash my hair with a new shampoo I started trying about 2 years ago.
Yep, there it is.
So I stopped using that goddamn shampoo, and now, no more hives. I've been hive-free since I can't believe I spent 2 years not enjoying the foods I love because I convinced myself it was food-based. So thank you, Dr. Patel, for treating me through a radio show.
That's great. I love it. That's
fantastic.
Yeah, those hives suck, so that's great.
Yeah, I mean...
God.
So watch Rad Radio and get better. Listen.
What would be in a shampoo that would cause that?
There's so many chemicals, so many different things. Sometimes they have these oatmeal-based soaps and shampoos. Sometimes, if you have an allergy to grasses, and it's like a grass-based or an oat-based, sometimes people have issues with that.
We were talking a few weeks ago about the no-poo movement, which is getting off of shampoos that have chemicals, but sometimes they might be going to these overly natural shampoos that then cause them to have allergic reactions.
Yeah, like hives is usually like protein-based, so it's usually like oatmeal or something like that. If it's more of a contact dermatitis, like think about poison oak, that's usually like a chemical allergy.
We're going to run the gamut here with Dr. Patel from seasonal allergies, food allergies, everything in between. Phone number is 888-989-9811. We got this email from Brittany.
Hey, Brittany.
RAD@radradio.com. We'll use her story, and then I'm going to walk you through a series of questions from my personal experience to try to educate people on seasonal allergies. Then we're going to get into Dawn's animal, non-food, various other things, allergies, and where she's at on the whole thing. Brittany says, my husband and I went to Arizona, and I was miserable. I was sneezing like crazy, and my eyes wouldn't stop watering and were puffy. I've lived in California my entire life and could not believe how allergic to the desert I was.
Oh, no.
What in Arizona could have been causing such a reaction, does Dr. Patel think?
I would die. I love the desert.
Well, actually, ironically, we tell people to move to the desert or the coast for allergies. So, but there are things in and around depending on where she is, and a lot of these places like Phoenix, they bring in a lot of different plants and trees and things that water, right? So, yeah, you'd have to get tested to know what it is, but different cities, different areas, different allergens.
So it's a matter of because a lot of stuff we talk about with you, we find out it's a myth or an urban legend, like, oh, honey is going to cure your allergies. So it's not a myth that you can just fly into a place that you've either never visited or rarely visit, and boom, you're hit with something that you're allergic to, but wherever you do live isn't prevalent, and that's why it affects you.
Yeah, almost. So when you're in an area, it takes about a year to get sensitized to any new allergen. So whatever was in Arizona, she probably had a small amount of exposure to develop an allergy to in her hometown. Then when she went to Arizona, maybe there's a lot more of it, and she became allergic. So a lot of times we tell people East Coast, West Coast, if they lived on one side, they moved to the other side. For the first year or so, they feel great, because they don't have their allergens there, and then they become allergic to that area.
Okay, so I noticed this weekend, so I thought, hey, Patel's going to be on. Let's kind of walk through this because this will be educational to people, because people don't hear you every time you're on. So the traditional allergies, the achoo, the eyes, and the sneezing. So I had horrible allergies growing up. I grew up in the Bay Area for all 18 years. They were horrible. And this is the Stone Ages, right? This is where I got allergy tested the old way, where they poke you with a needle and they take the antigen and they figure out what you're allergic to, and then you go in once a week, or if you're really bad like me, twice a week, and you get a needle stuck in your arm, and you do this for years and years and years, and it's supposed to treat you. Again, this is the ancient method, not the rush thing that you're doing now, and it helped. So I did that for 18 years. Then I moved to South Lake Tahoe, where I lived for 2 years. Now I've been told I'm allergic to everything that grows. Trees, there's a few of those in South Lake Tahoe. 2 years I live in Lake Tahoe, I have no allergies. None. I've been told I'm allergic to all the trees that grow in South Lake Tahoe, but they go away. What does that mean? I was misdiagnosed all those years as a child?
Not usually. It could be it could be either the allergy shots you did helped, right? And they probably did. It's just, the frequency and before, like, 07, they were lower dose. So what they found is people who did them got better while on them. And it lasted for a few years after, maybe 5-10 years. And then they kind of became allergic again. Not again, but they lost their protection, let's say. And then they had to redo shots over and over again. So
now I'm off shots, right? I'm not needing them. I'm existing. And that was like at 15. And I would have allergy season. April, May, June, nose spray, eye drops, things like that. So 2 years South Lake Tahoe, I need nothing. I moved to Reno in 1992, and I have horrible allergies. Of course, you self-diagnose. Everybody tells me it's the sage. I never get tested. I have no idea. They're bad for like a year, and then they go away. So what is that? I found something that was allergic to, and then I acclimated to it? Can you acclimate to something you're allergic to?
Well, in a way. So we have studies where there are dog and cat allergies, right? People have them, but then their own dog and cat, they're fine to. And, people say that, how'd that happen? And, they looked into it because that's enough stories. They're like, well, something's going on. And what they find is that, if you get an injection or ingestion, usually you develop a tolerance. If inhalation causes more of an allergy. So, allergy shots, injection, or food, when you eat food, naturally, is food your body's supposed to ignore, otherwise you get food allergies. So the theory is that maybe there's enough dog dander or cat dander in the air that probably you're ingesting some, and you get desensitized temporarily. And when those same kids go off to college or go off, for a long time, and then they come back for summer break or Christmas break, all of a sudden they're sneezing and coughing to their own animals, which they had tolerated for years. So hard to explain why, when you went to Reno, 1 year was bad and then it got better.
Yeah.
You'd expect it just to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it was so weird. It just went back to normal allergy season. And very mild while I was in Reno. And then we moved to Sacramento in May of 1999, off the charts horrible. And for the most part, April through June are my bad months, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. And then this weekend, we go up to Reno for the weekend. And this is the third time my wife and I have gone to Reno in the last 2 years, and we both have the same, oh my God, we can't breathe, our eyes are watering, our eyes are itching reaction. I don't.
Miserable.
What the hell? Where's that coming from now?
To me, the only thing that would make sense is that maybe the first year was bad, second year was, and then you left, right? So it could be that second year is just, if it was sage, maybe that year's sage was low. Right. So, people said this year they had really horrible allergies in spring. And we have actually, shown pollen counts, all that was much higher. And that's because our winter was so weird. Weather patterns change. And people like this year in January were having allergies. January, February, March. So it was worse. And we know it because every year, asthma attacks come in around that time, or eczema flares come around the time when allergies start coming up. But for you, I would say most likely, maybe that second year, it was a down year for your predominant allergen.
And now when I'm going there,
Yeah.
I'm getting it, even though I'm in a hood. Because, of course, again, you self-diagnose. It's like, it's the cigarette smoke. No, it's not cigarettes. It doesn't happen in Vegas. All right,
Smoke out there.
we got this one from Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Last time you were on, we talked, what was it, sunscreen? You were talking about how sunscreen can
Sunblock.
Sunblock can affect people, right? People can be allergic to it.
It's crazy.
Heather says, OMG, years ago I started experiencing a burning sensation on my face when outside wearing sunscreen.
Oh, God.
At first, I thought I was getting a sunburn ridiculously fast. And then my sister told me about getting diagnosed with a photoallergic reaction to sunscreen. I switched to a different type of sunscreen with no more problems. It sounds insane, but it really is a thing. Also, only my face reacts. The rest of my body is fine with regular sunscreen. It was so nice to hear from Dr. Patel that my sister and I aren't just mutants.
Nope. And also, as a side note, for my dermatology friends, always use zinc oxide, right? At least 21%.
I figured this, since it's still that time of the year and there's a lot of heat and a lot of sunscreen needed, people should be reminded, hey, maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
So, Dawn, you have been seeing Dr. Patel because we figured out you are allergic to animals.
Yep.
Not gluten, as you suspected a long time ago.
No food allergies.
No food at all.
And I always forget because there's only like when I look at my husband Gary's sheet, like yours probably was, Rob, like it's the longest list. Like bushes and trees, it's basically everything outside, and then the chemical, all this other stuff. But like on that sheet, there was it was the smallest list of a few bushes, It wasn't but the animal thing was yeah.
So where are you in your
chart.
treatment process?
So I did the rushes, which I mean, they're amazing for this reason. You're in a room by yourself. There's a lazy boy chair so you can recline, you can sit up. There's a little table where you can put a desk if you have work to do or you want to watch movies. I mean, it is cozy and comfortable in there. And so that's amazing. And you can pack yourself, like a lunch because you'll be there for hours all day. And then they just come in. So with that, they came in all throughout. It's a long hours process. And because you're getting several different shots for what your allergies are, correct? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also they're monitoring you. They want to make sure you're okay and you're not having any reactions as well to any of that. So it's awesome. They take such great care of you. I mean, they're constantly checking your blood pressure. They want to make sure your oxygen levels are great. So doing that little breathing test was fun. And so I'm boy, I'm glad I started working out. So, so I finished those two. And so now what I'll be doing is once a week for
8 more.
8 more of those. And then it'll be a once a month thing.
Correct.
Yeah, after that. So, and you're getting several shots in your arm, but they're good about switching arms so one doesn't get used. And you might feel I definitely feel it when it's the animal ones because there were some mold, I think, and then for the bushes or whatever. And it must have been that arm because there was zero effect. The arm for the animal, yes, it might get itchy, but they have cream there for you. You might have some reaction, but I mean, it's probably individual, but for me, it was really, honestly, basically a pleasant experience. It was a nothing burger. So, but other people, I don't want to say it, your arm might burn or something different. You might feel differently.
Oh yeah, your arms will swell.
Yeah.
And anything that's going to give you long-term benefits or relief may come with some short-term discomfort.
Yeah.
Phone number is 888-989-9811. You can email us, rad@radradio.com. We're talking to Dr. Patel from Granite Bay Allergy online at granitebayallergy.com. And right before we came on the air, we were getting him situated in the studio. And if you're watching RADTV at members.radradio.com, you can hear what's going on. Gregory wrote in and said, it's really nice to hear the enthusiasm in Dr. Patel's voice when talking about his trade, even off camera. Yeah. The dude really seems to enjoy what he does. That's who I would want to fix me. If the doc is okay talking about this, I was wondering, has he ever had any allergies, and what drove him to study this medical profession? Sorry, I'm nosy.
I'll try to make it as short as possible. So, first, when I got into medicine, I was thinking, I like oncology, I like cancer, I like immunology. So
you like cancer? That's a very strange thing to say,
to
Dr.
fix
Patel.
it, to fix it. See if it's possible.
Okay.
So a lot of the research I did was immunology based, like immunotherapy, things like that, and cancer. This is in the 90s. did that, and you spend like years doing it, and then at the end, the research ends up being like null, right? Like, oh, well, it didn't work out. Like, all right, great. So that was a little disappointing, and you're like, wow, you spend a lot of time, and then, all right. So then we went to the clinical side in med school, and I was like, oh, this is great, but then, outcome is good. I mean, you can help people, but then it's cancer, so it's the end is always, anyway. So I'm like, oh, I like the immunology side, but I don't know if emotionally I can separate work from home. So I'm like, all right, I need to find a field. So, and then we found, well, there's a field called immunology. I'm like, oh, this is great. So I'm like, I look into that. And then in that field, I'm like, whoa, everyone gets better. So we can we can fix most people. And then like 80% is like allergy or asthma, which is, very, very treatable. And then the rare side, the immune deficiency, the immunology side, that's fun, but it's more like a, I always tell people my job is akin to like that show House, right? Where you kind of just get to look around, figure out things. Instead of going to people's homes, you tell them to bring their pieces of home to you, and you test things, and you try to figure out what's wrong, and most of the time you can.
Just like House was always able to find a way.
Yeah.
You're usually able to find a way to help people.
Yeah, so I think it's, the sit around and read books and try to figure things out is my thing. It's not, I'm not like the more of the surgeon hands-on, go in and repair something like that and you get immediate satisfaction. Mine's more like, let me try to figure something out that no one else can.
All right, we got a few emails here about the process. It's the boring part, but it's the important part to a lot of people: money, insurance, that kind of thing. Ashley says, "Hey, Dr. Patel, I just wanted to know if you have a consult session and how much that is. I don't know if my insurance will cover this, and I just want to know what it may cost prior to calling and setting it up, like that first visit. Or do you do that?"
I don't know, but my staff does. They have like lists of.
Call the office.
Yeah, call the office, and they have that.
They'll give you the menu of what can be done.
I think so, yeah.
John says, "I love you. You're like me. I don't know. Ask my team. I got other things to handle."
Half the time I'll show up to work sometimes, and it's like a holiday. Like,
oh, that's right, Columbus.
Oh.
Damn him.
Yeah, so I did that a few times. So now all my staff text me, hey, don't show up on Monday. Don't show up.
John says, "Hey, Dr. Patel, I've been suffering from indoor allergies since adopting our cat back in 2013. Since my cat just won't die, I guess I need to explore another option. Unfortunately, due to my insurance, I can't self-refer myself. Are there any other options for me to be able to come to see you without having to pay out of pocket?" So there's, these certain insurance companies, HMO plans. Your doctor has to refer you. You allow self-referral, but he's saying if I self-refer, my insurance won't cover it. Is there a gray area? A trick?
No, I think, usually your doctor, if you ask them to refer you, they would. Doctors aren't going to say no. So.
Right? That's the way around that.
Yeah, the only thing is, you send right into your doctor and be like, hey, can you refer me?
More self-advocation, basically, which I know is a pain in the ass. You shouldn't have to do that.
No, and he probably has to see his doctor first.
Of course.
You can't just, you wish it was that easy, right? Let me email you. I'd like to say, well, I need you to come in first.
So I think that's the same answer to Rosalinda, who said, "I've contacted my doctor multiple times to try and get a referral to see a specialist, have my allergies tested. How would I go about being able to see you without a referral?"
Well, yeah, if it's an HMO, there's no way around that because they won't cover it.
If you have a PPO, you can just you can just call you and make the appointment. Your insurance will cover it.
Well, then what the hell's
What'd you
wrong?
call me?
Yeah, my doctor. I wonder if some people have. I have a PPO, but she'll still want to see me.
But she doesn't have to. You don't have to let her though.
Yeah.
If in a PPO, that's the point of a PPO is a doctor doesn't have to see you.
It's like she wants to make sure or something.
Sure. Well, she's either a good doctor or she wants the office visit. But if you have a PPO, you don't have to do that. But if you have an HMO, like Rosalinda, she says, I've tried to contact you just have to be a bitch.
Right?
Yeah,
squeaky wheel, right? So it's a balance, right? Not too much to annoy the person to ignore you, right?
Right.
But just enough.
Yeah.
And you definitely want to make sure they give you at least $50 before you show them your PPO, because I made that mistake a few times.
We got this note from Kathy. This will take us more into the how it works part, back to what Dawn was talking about. She says, "I have allergy symptoms, but I was told antihistamines won't work on me. I was tested about 10 years ago with all the samples on my back and had no reaction. I was told I have non-allergic allergies. Does that make any sense, and would you recommend getting retested?" First of all, the samples on the back, is that the thing you do?
Samples of the antihistamines?
She says, "I was tested 10 years ago with all the samples on my back."
Where they do the testing on her back.
But it sounds like she's saying they sampled the antihistamines on her back, or are they? I don't know if the I don't know what that is because we don't. It's
What
not going to
about-
react, right? But if it's the allergens, then it depends. Things change.
What about being told I have non-allergic allergies? What the hell is that?
She probably meant non-allergic rhinitis. So you can have non-allergic rhinitis or vasomotor rhinitis. There's different kinds where, if it's a temperature change, you have a runny nose, or something called gustatory vasomotor rhinitis. A lot of words. That's the one when you eat, your nose runs. Some people are like, oh yeah, I have to keep a napkin with me every time I eat. There's like a different nose spray for that.
And if that's what it is, that's what somebody can do about it. Is some type of nose spray.
It's called ipratropium nose spray. As long as you don't have glaucoma, that usually works fine for you.
Okay, that's right. So Brandon and I both, we had you're actually putting the allergens in the back to see if you have an
on top,
allergy
yeah.
to
So
it.
yeah.
Okay, so what we need
That may or may not be
clarification from
what-
her.
yeah.
What was that? What was done or something else?
Is it possible? Because I do remember once you had told me, just because we were talking about it, I get really bad allergies from my makeup, but cosmetic allergies actually cannot be cured. So with that, do you guys even test when you do the little stabby stabs?
No, so yeah, not stabby stabs. Those are patch testing though.
Yeah.
So,
Do you
patch-
guys do
yeah.
cosmetic allergy testing, or because it's not something that can be cured, does it even go through? Because I'm just thinking for the letter writer, could that be something looming in her life?
Yes, no, patch testing we do for chemical allergies, and the most common is cosmetic, right? So, and cosmetics can be anywhere from, makeup to shampoos, to cleansers, soaps, detergent. I would say if you have a whole body rash and you think it's a chemical, 9 out of 10 times it's your detergent or those notorious bounce sheets or anything. So I always say the first thing people walk in if they have a whole rash, they suspect contact. I'm like, even before we don't even need testing, just go home first, switch your detergent, your bounce sheets, and then in a month, if you still have the rash, we'll do tests. But
What about the term scratch testing on the back? What does that mean to you?
so that actually is just when you put it's like a drop of the allergen. So let's say a tree or a weed, and you kind of poke at it. It's on top of your skin.
Okay, Jessica says 10 years ago I got scratch testing done on my back. I ended up blacking out. I wasn't allergic to 4 things out of the 30 plus they tested. They told me I shouldn't do the shots because it would be so diluted. There is no point. Is that a thing I should revisit now?
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago they thought that. But
Why'd she black out?
Whoa.
What is that? What's the connection there?
I don't know. I mean, it could be that some people, if they got anxious maybe during it and they blacked out. Because,
Dramatic.
Yeah,
we
they suck.
we should point out that's not common.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
not gonna happen.
Um,
But, I mean, it can, I guess. But
Yeah, if you're dramatic.
Kyle wrote in, wants to know, what is the difference between eczema and plaque psoriasis?
they're actually opposite ends. So think about eczema or atopic dermatitis as environmentally and allergy induced. 50% have a mutation in a gene called filaggrin. But then basically it's allergens going in and water leaving. For psoriasis is the opposite. So the allergen side is like an IgE, like an allergic antibody. That's why seasonal people's eczema will flare if they go camping. Whereas plaque psoriasis is more, it's a type 1. So basically it's like a T cells, both more in terms of an immunological problem where it's not environmentally associated, I guess.
This is where people's ears tend to perk up because at first they're like, oh, okay, the allergy guy. And then they hear something like, oh, wait, food allergies might not be food. And then they start to hear about all these other things that immunology can cover. A lot of people don't realize some of the skin diseases and some of the asthmas and all that you cover all of this.
Yeah, so asthma, allergy, immune system is all the same. Autoimmune is different, right? So plaque psoriasis is more of a dermatology because it's something you need like immunomodulators for.
Oh, yeah, of course. Immunomodulator.
Not those things.
I've got one in my bedroom.
I picked one on Amazon and Google. Came yesterday.
Where are you on treating kids? Because a lot of parents write in, and sometimes some doctors are like, let's keep it controlled, keep it down. But parents write us every time you hear and go, I got the. But I know bodies change. Let's just be candid with people. Do you want to see kids? Will you see kids? Where are you at on kids?
Well, I see kids too. Yeah, we see any age.
So we got this note from Ashley. It says, my 4-year-old daughter who loves horses is allergic to them.
Oh, yeah, me too, girl.
Her eyes get red and swollen, and it triggers her asthma. She is brokenhearted as she wants to ride them like her sister.
yeah.
Do you work with pediatrics, and is there anything that can be done? Claritin is not working.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say switch from Claritin to any of the other ones, Zyrtec or Allegra, right? So
Claritin's the worst,
the Claritin's the weakest one.
which is loratadine.
Yeah.
Because that's what I take. I should get off that and go to Zyrtec?
Yeah,
Zyrtec is awesome.
they have the best marketing though, right? The whole Claritin.
Yeah, they
So
do.
everyone knows about
Beautiful.
Claritin. People always walk on
Yeah.
Claritin. Anyway, the first thing I do is always switch them from Claritin to like Zyrtec or Allegra. But yeah, kids allergy, it changes, and a lot of kids do outgrow allergy. So if it's so bad that their eyes swell shut or asthma attacks like her are occurring, then yeah, we do it. Actually, I have a little girl who had such bad, like she only gets allergy shots just from mosquito, because when she got a mosquito bite, it got so big and full of fluid that she'd actually miss this week of school. It'd be like maybe like 8-9 inches big every time. So she gets mosquito allergy shots. Now she gets no reaction.
Just remember, that's a man saying it's 8-9 inches.
Gosh, I remember when this little girl bringing back memories of we were taking care of a friend's horse, and I just knew it was the hay. And as I would feed the horse, as I'd feed him, I'm like loving on him. I'm like, oh God, yeah, I'm so sorry, I'm sneezing on you because I'm talking to him, right? I'm just like, and I'm just getting close to him and hugging him and brushing him, and all the time it's the horse. But I'm like, oh, this damn hay.
But it could be.
So Don's bringing up hay. I'm thinking of like I don't have too many allergies I'm really aware of, except for grass. I notice that when I lay in grass or I sit down in it, I get extremely itchy. Is that just with everybody, or is there something I can do to like lay down in the grass and not become itchy anymore?
No, so you are allergic to grass, right?
Okay.
That's like, it's basically, like hay, right? Timothy grass or alfalfa, things like that.
Different, yeah.
And that is a problem. And if you lay in it, or if your skin touches the grass and you get itchy, or you get in the shower and it gets itchy, you're definitely allergic to grass.
But to Kyle's question, not every single person is allergic to grass.
Are
Oh,
they?
yeah, no.
No? Okay, so I am, and I should. Is there a process I could go get checked out for that?
Yeah, you just get same thing. You test for the grass, and then you can, if you want, if it's bad enough, you can do shots. If it's, or actually, there's a sublingual one. If it's only grass, there's a sublingual FDA approved tablet you can do too.
All right, so let's see. We always get some interesting questions for you. This one is from Queta.
Queta.
Says, if someone was diagnosed with sleep apnea, could it just be allergies?
No. So sleep apnea is pretty bad. So if you don't treat sleep apnea, you can have a lot of other issues, right? Heart disease and stroke and high blood pressure, so many different things, right?
But not allergies.
Now we actually do see a lot of people who have sleep apnea who get referred by the palm doctor, the sleep doctor, because their nose is so congested that their machine has to like have a higher pressure. Like let's say your nose obstructs it so much to deliver like a certain amount of pressure to the back of your throat, it has to overcome the nasal congestion. So that makes it more uncomfortable, and then people are non-compliant. So we see those people to like help with the nasal congestion, so then you can have less pressure on the machine and increase compliance and actually their lifespan, right?
We got an email here from Shannon.
Hey, Shannon.
Talking to Dr. Patel from GraniteBayAllergy.com. Says, I had COVID from July 1st through the 10th, and since I've tested negative and recovered, it seems like my seasonal allergies reactivated. Is that a thing? Does COVID make you more sensitive to your seasonal allergies? I think it is allergies because I take a 24-hour allergy pill. Well, if it's Claritin, you're going to get off that. And I start to get stuffed up again about 22 hours into the 24-hour pill, which I take around 7 each day, blah, blah, blah. Is that a thing? Any known connection between COVID and allergies?
Not COVID itself, but any virus. So yeah, they have viruses change. Every single virus, the whole thing about going into your DNA thing. So every virus does, right? So every virus, the way they replicate is they put their genetic code into your genetic code, and then they take over your cell. Then usually by the time the virus is gone, your immune system goes in and kills every single cell that's infected. Now, viruses change things. So we have mouse studies because it's unethical to do these kind of studies in humans.
But on mice, who cares?
Mice.
They're mice.
Yeah, so I did a bunch of mice, and then they exposed all these mice to chlamydia pneumonia, not the venereal disease, chlamydia, like a pneumonia of chlamydia. And then 2 days later, they gave them all, exposed them to an ovalbumin, which is like a research allergen. And then all of them developed asthma, which, as you know, asthma is just allergy of the lung. So what they say is, viruses or like a walking pneumonia or something like that can have enough of an impact on your immune system to then either cause recurrence or new allergies, new asthma.
So after the study was done, did they have to make all those awkward phone calls letting people know?
Listen, Mrs. Mouse.
We
After
always
you've already told someone.
we always have to check in with you, and since she brought it up, where are we as a society on COVID, just in general?
Yeah, I mean, we actually were just talking. Don and I were talking about this. It's like, the natural history of all viruses is to mutate to become much more contagious and much less deadly. And
So
as
you're
you
not
see-
surprised at all by the rampant infectiousness of these subvariants of Omicron, and yet no one, relatively speaking, compared to 2021 winter, is winding up in the hospital.
Yeah, well, so they found that, the BA5, right, the newest variant, is, the hospital rates go up because infection rates are going up, but ICU rates are not, right? So what are they telling you? Same thing. It's becoming less. And also, what's important to know is, COVID-19, the 19 is just the year it came out, right? So most people have been infected with like COVID-18, COVID-20, COVID-21. There's so many different coronaviruses every year. They're a regular upper respiratory tract infection. Now, COVID-19 is different because there's lower respiratory tract and not upper. And if you look at the new variants now, like let's say BA5, or all BA1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them, they're all kind of staying more upper respiratory, which is basically mutating back toward regular coronavirus, an upper respiratory virus. But yeah, obviously there are a lot of, just because the denominator is so large, you're going to have more serious cases, but there are other factors at play. But in general,
Yeah, all of these new variants are kind of lame to me. I like the classic variants like Delta. Those ones are the ones that really slap hard.
Greatest hits. Christine says, does Dr. Patel deal with... God, every time he's on, I have to do this. Urticaria?
urticaria, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we see a lot.
She says, my
What is
doctor
that?
said they cannot determine what is causing it. What is it? And
Urticaria is it's like hives. Urticaria is just hives. So there's so many different types of hives, but yeah, we see a lot.
so she should get in to see you, and her dumb doctors can just do their regular thing.
To
Katie,
say.
we always get some interesting stories for you. Katie says, I've had 2 surgeries in the last 7 months, and prior to, I've had 3 MRIs with dye contrast. After each one, I would get diarrhea and a bad headache, getting worse every time. The last time, the headache was so bad, I almost went to the ER.
Oh, God.
My doctor didn't seem to think it was related, but do you think maybe I'm allergic to the dye they use?
Yeah. So was it oral dye and IV dye would be the first question, but the diarrhea and that, but it's either not necessarily like an anaphylactic allergy, but there's something called a non-IgE mediated anaphylaxis, or it used to be called an anaphylactoid reaction, where the dye itself can make your mast cells degranulate and you get like hives or itchiness or
Jeez.
redness. But if it's oral and she's just getting diarrhea, then it could be just the oral contrast that can do that too.
I do love these doctors though that say, "Okay, we have a cause and effect, but they're in no way related." I mean, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, doc. But I mean, at least say what you said.
Well, but they don't know.
no.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like there
know.
are some doctors that just don't keep up on anything.
That's terrifying.
And or they don't want to well, it is, but like their study wasn't what Dr. Patel's study is, so it's like have them go see someone.
Well, a lot of times
know?
you see these people who've had like refractory horrible asthma for like 10, 20 years. They've been on, steroids and they've now have diabetes and fractures and all these things. Like they're like, oh, they got to have a job because, they're always in the hospital. And then they keep giving them more and more things. And then I'm like, well, I always feel like, if this, what is that axiom? If you do the same thing over and over again, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
you're insane.
Expected results, the definition of insanity, right?
Right.
I mean, that's that's one of the things I respect about you, Dr. Patel, is because you even said in the beginning when someone was asking you how you got started, like you love like the research and stuff. And I feel like you stay up to date on things because even in gynecology, whatever they call it, I remember the early 2000s, they wouldn't even, I can't even tell you how many doctors would laugh at perimenopause. They're just like, Jesus, oh my God, no. Like they just would not even let it be a thing. And especially because I think the more natural world was getting into it and recognizing it. So, they would always fight each other. Oh, now it's totally a thing. You go to any kind of college, oh, yeah, for sure, perimenopause. Now they're on board.
They always pick
but
up on the
then
hot
they're
thing.
like, they weren't getting into it. They weren't studying. They were research. They'd have nothing to do with it.
Or Dr. Dre. He doesn't really seem to be keeping up as much as he should be anymore.
Oh no, he's got some good Beats headphones. I just got some nice. I think they're pretty stylish. They're like black. And...
Dr. Patel said, bitch, watch your mouth. He's got beats.
All right. Well, here's one from Cade. Says, my mother-in-law believes she is allergic to water.
What?
She has to take a Benadryl just to shower. She's gotten in the lake with us twice since I've known her and sits there in agony for up to an hour, itching and breaking out in hives. Can she really be allergic to water itself?
So extremely rare. There's something called aquagenic urticaria, but highly I mean, obviously super, super rare, so it can happen. But more than that, there's other things called cold-induced urticaria or cold-allergic urticaria. All these different variants, as we were kind of alluding to earlier, is that it could be a different trigger kind of a thing. You have to look to see what the commonality is, not just what you think it is.
She could also be the aforementioned drama queen nut too, right?
Well, I mean, if she's breaking out in hives, though,
Oh, okay.
then I guess we'd have physical proof.
Well, she said she got it sitting in the lake. But there could be like other types of bacteria in the lake or plants and.
But why the
things of that
shower?
nature.
Yeah, it wouldn't cause hives though, but it would be if it was a cool lake or a Tahoe, it could be cold-induced urticaria, or like I said, the cold-allergic, which is like if your core body temperature goes up. There's treatment for all that.
I felt bad because I automatically wanted to go to, oh, really?
I know.
You know,
It's like
but
water.
but you know, it's like these things can be possible.
Maybe you're allergic to fluoride in the water because you don't want your third eye getting crusted shut.
Ashley says, "Here's a weird question. What is your thoughts, Dr. Patel, on doing those ancestry kits? Back in the day, I used to have a weird conspiracy theory on them, but nowadays, I really want to know if you think they're safe."
You mean like the genetic testing?
Yeah.
I mean, safe for.
Let's go with safe medically first of all. There's
Yeah,
no issue
medically,
there.
yes, it's
And
fine.
then, I mean,
But if you have a serial killer in the family, you know,
Yeah.
and then I don't know how safe it is for that person. I guess. But,
And most of those tests are saliva tests. It's not like you're actually getting poked or anything.
Yeah.
no, those are fine because you know if you're a saliva or a swab,
And
this
I-
genetic code is everywhere, right?
I don't know how she expects you to comment on whether or not they're safe from a privacy standpoint. You're not running these things.
Well, yeah, and as far as safe, just don't fall while you're doing it.
We got an anonymous woman here who says, I had unexplained infertility for 18 months and read some studies that uncontrolled asthma could be linked to longer time to conceive. I got back on an asthma controller and we had success the following month. Do you know anything about this?
Good. Oh my god.
It depends again. So if it's bad uncontrolled asthma, then you know inflammation in general. But I don't know if it's. I'm not familiar with any study that says like, you know, there's bad asthma makes you infertile. But you know, just because I haven't read it doesn't mean that it's not true.
That's the difference between him and the doctor you're describing.
Exactly.
Kevin says, after 28 years without a problem, my wife has developed an increase in melasma production when she is exposed to the sun, mainly in the face. Is this an allergy that can be treated?
If it's melasma, then it's like that's a pregnancy-induced hyperpigmentation. But if she's talking about melanin, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Can it be treated?
Well, melanin increase is just getting tan. So I don't know.
Stay out of the sun.
Now, yeah, but now if it is melasma from the sun and that's pregnancy related, then that's usually they have to do like laser or depigmentation cream. This derm will do that.
But I mean, it is annoying. I've noticed, and some of my other girlfriends have noticed. Like when we're younger, the tan is so much better.
Oh,
And as
yeah.
you get older, it's not the same tan.
Yeah, it's
Can
not
you
as-
fix that?
Yeah.
I don't change as fast anymore.
Well,
either.
derm's got great lasers nowadays.
Yes,
and
yes.
stuff. Yeah, their lasers are pretty.
Tell us, naturally dark Indian man, how do you feel about the problems of the white women?
What is it with the skin?
I know.
Well,
Right?
you know,
Like,
the whole
God, man, it
again,
sucks.
going back to the derm side of things, tanning is bad. You know, I tell my wife the same thing. I'm like,
Yes.
hey, I'd prefer you to get
Yeah.
a spray tan if
Yeah.
you want that look, right? The sun it just. You know, we live too long. You know? It's
Yeah.
like we live long enough to get cancer.
And I just being Sicilian, I see other Sicilians and they'll steal my husband. Oh my God, he gets the best tan ever. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, even I'm big on just painting the skin because I can't force myself to get one of those beds. It terrifies me. I feel like Deuce Bigelow is going to happen. And then, so I just paint my whole body, especially when I do my nightclub performances. You don't want me sitting anywhere near your couch, but damn, I look good.
A lot of people want to know about why things come out of nowhere later in life. Chris wrote in and said, as I'm in my mid-30s, I had allergies as a young kid. I've never been allergic to food. Only a few years ago, I was taking a class and I happened to grab a banana on my way out, eating it in the middle of the class. I start to feel my throat get itchy and swell up. I immediately left class, went to the closest store, got some Benadryl, took 2. It went away in 30 minutes. I hadn't had a banana in a long time before that. A few months later, I tried banana chips, no reaction. Then an actual banana, nothing. What could that have been?
So at that time, that's actually very common for that oral allergy syndrome we've talked about before, where bananas cross-react with ragweed. So when you eat bananas, And it's going to be worse certain times of year. So ragweed season is fall. So if you eat a banana, let's say in spring when ragweed's not out, then you may be able to eat more before you have symptoms. Now, if you eat the same banana in ragweed when you already, if let's say you need 10 points to have symptoms, and now ragweed brings you up to 5, then banana brings you up another 6, you're symptomatic, whereas, in spring, maybe banana brings you up 6 from 0. Now, when you cook it, so like in a chip where you fry it or cook it or banana bread, you're not going to have symptoms because the cooking denatures the protein and becomes non-allergenic.
And without his control test of later, this is where we go down that road of he just goes to the conclusion of I'm allergic to bananas, and he walks around saying that when it's actually the ragweed that would be treated.
Exactly. The ragweed is usually the problem. If he eats cooked bananas, he'll be fine. Or if he eats bananas out of season, out of ragweed season. Usually.
Nancy says the only food I have an allergic reaction to is shrimp, not shellfish, only shrimp. It does not affect my breathing, but I get hives the size of quarters all over my torso, arms, and head.
Ow! Oh my gosh!
I eat it anyways because I love it. Could it get worse and affect my breathing at some point with no warning?
You'd have to confirm, but that actually sounds like a similar thing to oral allergies called dust mite crustacean mollusk syndrome. So the protein, if it's been getting worse and worse over time, and a long time ago she had no problems with any shellfish, or in this case crustaceans, then it could be that her dust mite allergy is getting worse. And then the cross-reactivity, because the tropomycin is found in dust mites and crustaceans mollusks, hence the name, and the highest concentration is in shrimp, followed by crab, followed by lobster. So when she eats shrimp, her body thinks she's eating a bunch of dust mites. So and especially if she went on the same kind of point system, right? If she was dusting in the house, or she got exposed to a bunch of dust inside the house, and then ate shrimp, she'd have more of a problem.
We cannot let you leave without talking about alcohol.
All right, have some.
Andrea says, when my husband drinks hard liquor, sometimes he will get this red rash all over his neck, chest, and face. It's almost blotchy. Is that the alcohol? Sounds like a dosage issue. But
actually, I think it is a dosage issue.
If it's only sometimes, right?
Yeah. So usually, sometimes it's a dosage issue. Also, different ethnic populations have different amounts of, an enzyme called aldehyde dehydrogenase. So Asian descent, you have genetically less aldehyde dehydrogenase. So there's a drug called antabuse that blocks that enzyme. So most of the really bad, nausea, vomiting, horrible side effects are when you make alcohol. Alcohol gets broken down by different enzymes, and the first one is, basically aldehyde dehydrogenase is in that pathway, and if you have less of it, you're going to be more prone to having reactions.
We had that come up years ago on the show. Somebody wrote in and said she had these terrible reactions to alcohol, and then somebody else wrote in and said, well, it's because she's Asian. And of course everybody freaked out and said, oh my God, racist. And then an Asian woman called in and said, guys, it's real, and explained in layman's terms what you just said, that there are, imagine this, different people are built differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there can be ways, I know, to actually explain why some people from some parts of the world will react in a different way because of what's inside of their body or how they're genetically designed.
Yeah, exactly. So, going back to this same point is the path is pretty simple. It's like you have alcohol, then you have alcohol dehydrogenase, which then becomes an aldehyde, and then aldehyde dehydrogenase breaks that down into I think it's like pyruvate or something. But anyway, so when you have that pathway and you inhibit one of them, you're going to make more of the pre-product. So you'll have more aldehydes. So we have more aldehydes, more nausea, vomiting, redness, flushing, lightheadedness, blood pressure things. So
I know that's why I immediately went to I must have gluten and celiacs or whatever, because you always hear that Italians, Sicilians, they have a bigger, they're more prone to it. So I'm like, well, that's gotta be it then. Right? Because I've got that blood in me.
More of that brilliant self-diagnosis we do. Love having you on, Dr. Patel. Thank you so much. He's at granitebayallergy.com. Still, and appointments can just be made right there online.
Yeah.
Self-referrals are good, and if you're on an HMO, just have your doctor refer you. It's granitebayallergy.com, and Dr. Patel will be back again. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks a lot.